This video is not teaching you about your class or race or how to figure them out. This is if you already know your class, you already know your race, and you just have to learn how to figure out your strength and like your abilities, your skills, and just filling it out is what you need help with. This is what the video is for. So let's move on.
So I heard you want to learn how to fill out a D&D paper sheet. Well, I can't tell you. It's no secret. It's not safe. We gotta run! Run, man! Run! Let's go! Backflip! So now that we're in this safe and secret place, we can now fill out the paper over there with my companion. Let's begin.
KidJet Studios.
So, to begin, you first have to figure out your class and your race. Your class is what, like, rogue, ranger, warrior, wizard, all those sort of things, which we might talk about in a different video. And then you also have to figure out your race. Your race is, like, what you are, like a dwarf, a human, a halfling, a gnome, a tiefling, all that stuff. So, and for our example today, we're going to be doing a ranger tiefling. And yeah, so to fill out your paper, the most important thing is your 6 skills: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Those things are going to be the most helpful in the game, and it'll measure your ability to do stuff. So your strength is your ability to do something physically, like push over a wall, like hold the door shut, all those things. Dexterity is your ability to throw things, shoot things out of bows, hide, do backflips, all that sort of stuff is in dexterity. Constitution is your ability to keep going at something after long periods of time, like walking, like for hours without rest, swimming, and you're running out of strength. Constitution would help you keep going. It also adds to your life amount. Intelligence is being like book smart, remembering history, knowing all that stuff. It also helps with your investigation skills. Wisdom is pretty much what you have learned through experience, like survival skills, being perception, being able to like find levers and hidden things, and being able to see someone hiding in the bushes. And then charisma is your ability to talk to people and get yourself out of situations, pretty much. Like being able to persuade someone to do something for you, or decept someone, or intimidate someone, and that's the 6 skills. Okay, so one way to remember all of the different abilities is strength is being able to squash a tomato. Dexterity is being able to throw a tomato. Constitution is being able to eat a rotten tomato. Intelligence is being able to know that a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing that you don't put tomatoes in a fruit salad. And charisma is being able to sell a fruit salad full of tomatoes. Okay, so one way to choose your abilities, the score for each ability, is by rolling 4 6-sided dice, then adding up the 3 highest numbers. And in this case, I got a 6, a 5, and a 5. That and another 5. So I counted up the 3 highest, which is a 6, a 5, and a 5, and that equals 16. So then I choose like which of these skills I would want 16 to be. And then you do that 6 times, and then that's how you fill that out.
So, for example, if you want to be really strong, you'd put a high number on strength. If you want to be very, like, wisdomy, then you'd add 3 to your, 16 to your wisdom. Stuff like that.
Okay, so finish writing down on your paper, and So now, let's begin in talking about skill modifiers. So skill modifiers is the number that you add to each roll. So let's say I have strength as my 17, and I roll a 13. I don't add 17 to that. I add the ability modifier. And the ability modifiers, as you can see from this picture I'm showing on the screen, is the number that you have depending on the bigger number. So if you have a strength of 17, it's a +3. If you have a strength of 7, it's a -2. So that's how all those work. So I'll show a picture of it so that you can fill out your paper real fast. And yeah. So within each ability, you have a certain amount of skills. So, and each different thing that you are has different choices of each skill. So if you have dexterity, there's like a bunch of skills, like acrobats and sleight of hands and stealth. So let's say you chose stealth, right? And you get +3 on all your dexterity. Instead of +3, it becomes +5 whenever you try and do something stealthy. And but just because you get it on stealth, it's not for everything that has to do with dexterity, only for stealth, because you chose that as your proficiency skill. And then, like acrobats, that also has to do with dexterity. Since you did not choose that to be your proficiency, it does not add +2, so it's only a 3. Okay, so there's a thing called proficiency, and you can see it up there on the top left corner-ish of the paper. And at level 1, everyone gets that as a +2. What proficiency does is you add 2 to whatever thing you are proficient in. And the book, or whatever you're using to figure out what you are, like Ranger and Tiefling, they should tell you what you're proficient in and what you can become proficient in. So let's figure out this, fill out this skills thing. So, first, I have a +3 in dexterity, and at the top it says that acrobats, and it says dexterity right next to it, right there. Well, that means that I add my dexterity modifier whenever I do acrobatics. And then let's just say, I already talked about that. So, and then I move on to the next one. So, animal handling wisdom. For my wisdom, I have +3, and then since I'm proficient in it, you can tell because I filled in the little dot there, I add the proficiency bonus, which right now is +2. Okay, so once you finish up filling out your skills, which pause if you haven't yet. Well, once you finished out filling out your skills, let's move on to saving throws. Each different thing has different saving throws depending on what you are. Since Jedi's character is a ranger, rangers have proficiency bonus on every saving throw that has to do with strength and dexterity. So what you do is you fill in the little circles for strength and dexterity, and then you would put in your strength modifier, which is for us +3, and then you would add the +2 proficiency bonus. So that would make it 5 for us, and then dexterity, that's another 5. And then constitution, you would do the same thing, except without adding the +2, because you don't have proficiency in it. So for us, constitution is 2, so we'll do +2, and then you go through and fill out all 6 of them. Okay, so what I should have said earlier but forgot to say was saving throws is what you do if someone is trying to beat you in it. So, let's say someone is trying to outmuscle you. Then you would roll the dice and add your strength saving throw. Or someone is trying to
Push you over.
Yeah, push you over. You roll a 20-sided dice and add your strength saving throw. Stuff like that. So that's what the saving throws do. So now that you're done filling out your passive wisdom perception, let's move on to other things. So let's fill out speed. Speed is at the top of your paper, and it is next to armor class and initiative. So what speed is how far that you can move in a single turn of combat. So our character, a tiefling, can move up to 30 feet. So I put in 30 feet for my speed. And then you guys put in whatever your thing is. If you're a dwarf, it's 25. If you're a woodland elf, it's 35, and So go check out what number you have and fill it in. So, once you finish figuring out what your speed is, and, we're gonna now figure out the armor class. So I'll show a picture right now about what each armor is and how much you get for it. But so Jedi chose to get leather armor because he's proficient in it, and he's proficient in it, and he did not want the scale mail because it gave a disadvantage on hiding. So he has 11 plus his dexterity modifier, which makes it 14 armor class. So figure out your own. For all the armor, besides heavy armor, it's something plus your dexterity modifier with a max of 2 if it is in the medium armor. So figure that out. So while you're figuring that out, armor class is pretty much the roll that someone has to beat to hit you. So if, let's say I'm trying to stab Jet, and I roll a 12. I have 12, and then I add my strength, which let's say is a 3. Since 15 is higher than 14, I hit him. But let's say I rolled a 6 and then plus 3, that is only 9, I miss, because his armor's too tough. Yeah. So that's armor class and how you figure that out. So your hit points is said in the book. For Rangers, it's 10 plus your Constitution modifier. I think all of them are pretty much the same thing as that, almost, where it's blank plus your Constitution modifier. But go check in the book or instructions or wherever you figured out what type of class you are to figure out that number.
Unless you're a ranger.
For us is 12 because that is 10 plus our Constitution modifier, which is 2. So that is 12. And then hit dice, which is just under the current hit points and temporary hit points, is a small little square, is also said. For each thing it's different, but it's pretty much the same thing. For Rangers, it is a 1d10 per Ranger level. Since we are at level 1, we only get 1d10.
1d10.
D10. So that hit dice are sort of important later in the game for gaining back lives after a short rest and all that. So that's what hit dice are.
I wonder where he is. Where did he go? There he is!
So now you know how to fill out a D&D paper. This is the wrong one. No, this is the right one. Now you know how to fill out a D&D paper almost completely. And don't tell anyone that does not want to play D&D because we gotta keep it secret. Keep it safe.
So that's pretty much all that we can teach you. All that's left is to fill out your weapons, write down what features and traits they have, like seeing in the dark. Some things can see in the dark, so you can write that down in there. And elves only have to sleep for half the amount of time as humans. Like if you're an elf, you can write that down. Then you have to write down equipment, which all depends on what you have. You have to figure out gold, which we can teach you in a future video. There's enough people asking for us to talk about what we missed. And other proficiencies in languages is pretty much just write down the languages your character knows depending on what your book says or your instructions say, and like what you're good at, like what weapons you're good at, what armor, what skills. And then we can also talk about alignment in a future video, your personality traits, ideal spawns, and flaws we can talk about in another video. Yeah, so see you guys all next week. Bye.